What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, and on the phone we got Johnny Zazula. Thank you for your time today, man.
Hey, glad to give it.
Yeah, of course. You have this new book, Heavy Tales, coming out. What I'm curious is, you just want to give a rundown on how, the writing process for this book was going altogether. I know it features, your experiences working with all these great bands, has some photographs that have never been released before. You just want to give a rundown on how the making of all of it's been?
Well, basically, it's something I decided on about June of last year. And I was retired and going out of my mind. And I felt that I should maybe write a book. The only problem was my memory isn't all that good. It really isn't. And I needed someone who could really research my life and give me a timeline. I felt with a timeline, I could plug in all the stories and tales during that time period. Mm-hmm. And I met somebody, a fellow named Harold Claros Maldonado. And Harold came to me and researched my life. I filled in the beginning of my life, but from the Venom single, Die Hard Acid Queen, to the very current time, he gave me a perfect timeline, which enabled me to write this book.
Wow, that's great. It always helps when you have a great team of people working with you.
Always.
Yep. What I'm curious is, I actually I interviewed the filmmaker Bob Nalbandian before, and I asked him, because he's working with music, if he has to take a different approach to film directing as opposed, because he's doing on music. Is this book intended to be an autobiography based strictly on your experience, or is it kind of like a book on how metal has progressed over the years when working with Metallica and so many other great bands?
Well, you could get the story of how metal progressed over the years in the book, but the book is basically my story of how I started with less than nothing, discovered Metallica, started a record company. Next thing you know it, I was signing Anthrax, Merciful Fate, Manowar, Testament, Overkill, Ace Frehley, King's X. It just went crazy. and that's what it's all about. It's all about the experiences and what happened during those times and the stories behind those albums.
Mm-hmm. When working with Megaforce Records, what exactly were you looking for in the artists that you were working with? What made you want to work with Metallica and Overkill and Ministry and all these great bands?
Well, that's exactly what you said. They were great bands. Mm-hmm. And they had to be great bands. They had to make the hair stand up on my arm. Mm-hmm. When they played. I got so excited that they were so great. And if they could really prove to me and make me feel that they were the greatest thing, I would do business with them. They had to really, when I said make the hair stand up on my arm, they really had to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody heard something like Kill 'Em All when it first came out.
And nobody believed me when I went to the record companies to have them put it on a major. Nobody in the beginning even understood what that music was all about. At the time, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world,
Of course. Of course, you saw something in it that a lot of people didn't, but that's that happens with every artist who comes up with a new sound, and that makes them very distinct.
Right.
Yeah. One thing I'm really curious about is working with, because I also thought that a lot of the bands you worked with were kind of a little bit on the diverse side. Working with Metallica, Anthrax, Testament, Overkill, great thrash bands, but with King's X sounding a little different and Ministry sounding a little different. Did your approach to how you worked with these artists change depending on the artists you were working with?
No. You work with the assets you have. You work with what the band brings to the table, and you just take that and you grow it, and you make sure you do nothing cliche and stupid, and make no mistakes. And if you stay constant, a great example of it is Slayer, just staying tried and true for so many years. Look how good it worked for them.
Yeah.
And basically, that's exactly what I said. Work with the positive assets of the band and magnify them. Don't try to promote or to create anything new or stick your balls out in the wrong direction, trying to be a wise ass.
Yeah. Of course. When you were working with these bands, obviously you've helped them really get their foot in the door, and did you learn a lot about yourself working with these artists as well?
I have to be honest with you, I was too busy to pay any attention to what was going on. I mean, I knew I was going through some manic waves and feeling very depressed and then feeling very crazy and up. But I really didn't give anything much thought other than I felt we were into a metal revolution, and I felt that I was on the ground floor of the revolution pushing the button every second I could.
Yeah. I remember seeing you at the Hall of Heavy Metal History last year before NAMM, and how Metallica came on the screen and wished you congratulations on the Hall of Heavy Metal History. I mean, do you have a different perspective on metal now as opposed to when you did back then?
No. A band still has to be really special and do something special to me, just like it did back then. You know, there are 3 bands that really knock me out right now. 2 that don't have a deal and 1 that's pretty well established. But there's a band out of Florida called The Absence.
Yep, I've interviewed, Joey C is a great friend of mine.
Oh, Concepcion, great.
Yeah.
They're all great in that band, every one of them. And then in France, there's a band called Arcania.
Yep.
That really pushing and trying to help get a deal. I don't ask for anything for myself. It's just they were so good. I needed someone to understand that they should really do business with these guys. So they're getting a small deal out of a French label. And the band that I love right now that I just can't get enough of is Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're friggin' fantastic, and I talk about them whenever I can.
Yeah, you're going to come see them in New York City with Amon Amarth?
What a package, but I have to tell you, I live in Florida now.
Ah.
I moved to Florida 2 years ago. I'm trying to see Sabaton on the 5th.
That's
down here, but what a package, right? I'm on Mars and Arch Enemy.
Yep, and At the Gates. I mean.
Really? That's on the bill too?
Yep.
Wow, that's fantastic. I better look it up. Is it coming to Florida? I don't know.
I'm not too sure. I'll look it up for you, though, fairly soon. That's what I call Swedish heaven right there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Being that you were writing a book based on your experiences in the music industry, were you kind of is there like a certain art to writing an autobiography, regardless of what you've experienced, or being that you were writing about your experiences in the music industry, there was maybe a different way you had to approach it than, somebody...
Alex, there's no rhyme or reason for how I wrote this book. Mm-hmm. What I basically did was I pictured that the reader was sitting on my couch next to me in my big chair. And I was telling him the stories one by one as they happened. I mean, the book is how I talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just told the stories, and that's my whole mode of writing. Nothing to it, but just writing what I felt and told the story over and over again.
Mm-hmm. And the final question I wanted to ask you is actually, being that, you worked and helped get these bands to grow, for younger bands out there, what is like some words of advice you can give some people who are trying to get involved in the music industry, whether they're starting a band or want to work at a label or do something else?
Well, really make sure that you're different. Mm-hmm. If you sound like everybody else, I don't know how special that's going to be, or what that's going to do for a label you go to get a deal. You shouldn't even need a label. You should be so good that the whole world is coming to you. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is these days. And all I'm saying is that if you get involved with somebody, make sure they have the resources to give you radio, marketing, some good press, really good press, not just Baba. I got someone who makes 5 calls for me. Mm-hmm. And someone who's going to put out vinyl, and really make sure that they're collecting the money for you and watching you back. These are all important things for a new band, and if you don't have all of it, you're going to lose. Not a little bit of it, all of it. Mm-hmm. 100%. You need a team behind you. You need a team. That's what everything's about.
Teamwork. That's what makes the metal community a community.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned like artists have to be different. A lot of you hear a lot of people saying everything's already been done. Everything's already been done. I mean, do you think that's kind of a ludicrous statement?
Ghost.
Yeah.
Different.
Yep.
Soil work. Different. Nightwish. The same but different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just got to excel. If you're going to be in a group of things, be the best of it. Just don't be a carbon copy of anybody.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. And always think outside the box. What could you do today that'll make me bigger tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get.
Yeah, that's a very good question one can ask themselves.
And don't not ask that question, or you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
All right.
Is there just anything else you would like to promote for Heavy Tales? Any thanks you like to give, or any shout outs, or maybe a book tour or something like that?
Well, there's no book tour, but on October 24th, I'll be in New York at the Cutting Room from 6 to 9.
Oh.
The Q&A, and I have Rockin' Ray and Metal Joe from the Old Bridge Militia spinning as DJ, and Head Motor, who are the best Motorhead tribute band in the world, are playing that night in this small little party we're throwing. And that's at the Cutting Room again, October 24th, Thursday night, 6 to 9.
Yep, I'll be there.
And then on Saturday, October 26th, I'm in Fords, New Jersey at Vintage Vinyl from 2 o'clock to whenever, signing books. There's going to be a huge crowd there. That's going to be a lot of fun, too.
That's great.
So, Q&A and come on down. One last thing is don't look for my book in stores. You won't find it. It's only available on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and JohnZazula.com. That's it. That's
good to know. Yeah, I live 4 blocks from the Cutting Room, so you could count on seeing me there.
All right. I'm sorry, they have to cover their expenses, so they're charging $19.50. I don't get any of it, but I guess it's going to a good cause. They keep it alive over there.
Yeah, it's a great venue, great space.
Great venue. It's going to be a good podcast. So, listen, all the best to you. You did a good interview. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Johnny Zazula. It means a lot. I saw you on the Behind the Music documentary for Metallica. It was great to be able to talk to you.
All right, cool.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, take care of yourself.
Take care. Everybody, we are here with Johnny Zazula. Be sure to pick up Heavy Tales when it comes out. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.